Well, hello, everybody, and welcome again to the YokeTalk podcast. Looking a little different this week in a number of ways, isn't it, my dear friend? Who are you?
Why, hello there. I am good old Boss GS.
Did you almost say UnworhtySeraph?
I almost did. No. Hey guys, it is not Boss. It is me filling in for Boss, Acewing, your friendly neighborhood streamer here.
Indeed.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So Acewing has been a long time friend of both myself and Pastor Boz. So he's right at home here on the YokeTalk. I've got no doubt that he'll do great. He's great. He's fantastic. Ace, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I like long walks on the beach.
Nice.
No. I've been around for probably the better portion of, let me think, since like 2016, I think. Since like junior year of high school, I've been around and was like a mod for about 2-ish years when there really wasn't, like in the beginning days when there wasn't like a mod squad, when this place was just wild wasteland.
It was wild back then. And Ace was right in the thick of it.
Yeah. I remember there was no like moderation to the Discord. It just sort of existed. And I just told Susie in chat one day, I was like, yo, do you like need someone to like run it? And he's like, yeah. Let me just give you mod to it. And I was like, oh snap. And then Amanda came in and kept the peace. And I'm thankful she rallied up everybody.
Yes, Amanda came in and cleaned up the mess that was our Discord in the early days. But what do you do right now?
Right now, I'm just a student. I'm going to Bible college right now. I've been studying worship arts. I lead a traveling ministry team on the side. It's like my job now. And in between that and home, I occasionally, do the streams. I write music, do a little bit of producing on the side. So a little bit of everything here and there.
He's a man of many talents, friends. And he's a great guy. It's fantastic. Wonderful. All right. Well, also, I forgot to mention at first, obviously there's so much to get through here today because it's just so different. But obviously, my background here is a little different. As you may know, some of you may know it as Miss Ruby Falls room, and that is correct. Usually, when I come here to visit, I have like a work setup, and so I just do it from that. But I'm on vacation this time, so I haven't been working. So instead of like setting up a table and everything with the laptop for me to just do YokeTalk for an hour, we figured it'd just be easier for me to use her computer. So here I am.
I thought you just wanted to invest in pretty lights and got like a pastel blue room, honestly.
You know, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it,
Yeah, especially the bed sheets too. I really like the choice of bed sheet.
Yes, they're fantastic, aren't they? Yeah.
Love it. Really adds to the whole feel.
I think so. Yeah. It's great.
All
righty, guys. Well, we've got some fantastic topics to get through today. We've got the Game Awards nominations. We're going to run through all of those and give our thoughts. Should be some pretty fantastic discussion there. Fortnite has a new subscription service.
Oh, man.
Just when you thought Fortnite couldn't do anything else. They do the one thing that they probably shouldn't have done, but we'll talk about it. And then Nintendo shuts down a Super Smash Bros. Tournament for using mods to play online. Guys, this is very close to my and Ace's hearts. And we're going to talk about hashtag free melee. It's going to be fantastic. Ace, what else do we have?
We also have Nintendo apparently can run Doom, the Game & Watch at least. You know, that old console that's based around that new Smash character
one they released. But
oh, there's a new little one?
Yeah.
Oh man, well apparently it could run Doom. And apparently we have the super mega ultra rare copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 that recently just got sold. For how much? Well, we don't find out.
I guess we'll see. I actually haven't looked yet. I have no idea. But we're going to find out today, friends, on the YokeTalk podcast.
Oh man.
Fantastic.
It's
Absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely
lot.
fantastic.
It's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot, friends. It's quite a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump in to the Game Awards nominations,
Oh
friends.
boy.
I'm excited. I'll be interested to see how different the Game Awards is this year overall, because of COVID, of course. I love watching the Game Awards. I started watching them, I think a couple years ago. I just ended up doing like a co-stream of it, just like on the spot. I like thought it was interesting. I think they were announcing something that I cared about, and then I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. I'm going to keep watching this." And then I've just kind of looked forward to it ever since. It's great. Do you usually watch it?
Yeah, I think I've watched it for the past 2 years, and I think I only watched it because there was, like, a couple of nominations that I wanted to see, and then always, like, the surprise mega game drops and announcements that happen. Like, I think a Smash character got announced
Yeah. Mhm.
at the last one, and, yeah, just seeing those large scale announcements and the concerts too. The concerts there are actually
Mhm.
pretty legit.
Very cool. Yeah, I loved it when they did the Breath of the Wild music for that one when it was up for Game of the Year, and then it got Game of the Year. Let's go.
Eh, it didn't. No,
Oh,
no,
that's
no.
right. That's right. I forgot. Ace is not the greatest fan of Breath of the Wild. We're not going to
I
talk
tried.
about it.
Listen, I beat it. Like, I beat the game. I did a good number of shrines. I did not find as many Koroks as I should have. But, I gave it the full, like, experience, and I ended the game, and I was just disappointed, to say the least.
I said we weren't going to talk about it, and then you talked about it. Now I'm triggered. But we're moving on, friend. We're moving on. We don't have time to be triggered. All right. Let's do it. Let's do these backwards. So
Okay.
we'll leave the full Game of the Year nominations for last. Let's scroll all the way to the bottom, and then we'll go up.
Ooh. Okay.
What is the bottom category? We've got
The
best esports team.
mm.
Best esports team. You want to read them off for us, Ace?
Yes. So representing League of Legends, we have Damwon Gaming and G2 Esports. We representing Call of Duty, we have the Dallas Empire, which I have no idea about COD Esports. Uh, Representing the Overwatch League, we got the good old San Francisco Shock. And representing the long forgotten Dota 2,
Dota
we
2, let's
have
go.
Team Secret, who I know absolutely nothing about.
I know a couple of those players. I know a couple of those players. Team Secret was it was like the what's the word for it? It was basically a bunch of players who like split off from like the main like sponsored teams and just like started their own team. So it was actually really cool.
Hmm.
But they've got Puppy and Zai, two players that I'm very familiar with. Great support players. At least they were at the time. I guess they maybe aren't now. But
Have they still been doing esports since COVID hit?
um,
Or
I believe so. I would assume. I don't. They probably didn't do the international, or at least they didn't do it in the same way.
right?
I'm not sure. I used to love watching the international every year. I used to be super into Dota. I love it.
Because I think what they did with LCS was like they had them in the same house, but like there's like a hallway that separates the two. So you had like C9 in one hallway and TSM, or C9 in one room and TSM in one room, and then there's just like a hallway. Like they were all just like literally in a LAN house basically.
Hmm. Yeah.
But we got these teams here. Do you watch any of these other esports? Like obviously Overwatch
Nope.
League. I'm assuming nobody watches Call of Duty esports. Um, like yeah, no, nobody. Yeah, Call of Duty. I'm sorry if you care about Call of Duty esports.
Some people look. We're not here to trash. Some people watch
Sure, sure,
it.
but uh, but who would you say if you had to give a top esport team?
I mean, the only one that I really know is Secret, and it has a couple players on it that I really enjoyed watching back in the day. So I would definitely have to go for them.
You never watch the Overwatch League?
Nah, can never really get into it. FPS esports are just not as good of a viewing experience. They're a little harder. The only esports that I've really enjoyed watching are Dota, and I think I could enjoy watching League if I was into League. Just whatever MOBA, those style games are easy to watch, and Smash Bros. And I think the reason for that is because the way that you view those games as a spectator is exactly the same viewpoint as you would if you were a player. So it's very easy to follow. It's
Right.
very familiar. Whereas with an FPS spectator experience, you're swapping all over the place from perspective to perspective, or there's like an aerial cam, and it's just a little harder to like keep track of. And it doesn't give me the same joy as if I was just playing the game.
Mm, I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I I haven't kept up enough with the Overwatch esports scene. I stopped after the first season because then my boys won, and then that's all I needed. Shout out to the London Spitfire. Um, but I think if I was have to, I think I would have to represent League at least, just because as we get up in here, you're gonna see uh, the next two or the nomination two up. It also has a League entry in it, but I think I would have to give mine to G2 just for the League representation.
Nice, nice.
E.
Alrighty. Well, next nominations we have here:
This one is difficult.
Best Esports Hosts. All right. So we've got the good old Alex Golden Boy Mendez. Susie Live would be a fan of him. We've got Alex Machine Richardson. We've got Eve J. Not sure how to say that. Eve J. Sajax Deportier. That's a name and a half. That's a name and a half. Ace, I think I've spent all my brain power on that one. Can you read the last two?
We got James Dash Peters or Patterson, and then Jorian Shiver Van der Heeden.
There you
I
go.
think.
Nice.
I think.
Great. Well, the only
Oh,
two
man.
that I'm familiar with here are Shiver, because she was a Dota caster, and Golden Boy, of course, the good old Halo caster back in the day. He still does stuff now, but I don't know if he does one thing in particular.
Apparently, uh he's an Overwatch. He's a part of the Overwatch League now. Uh, at least that's what
Okay,
a quick Google search says. He was a host for the big Overwatch events, pre-Overwatch League. It says.
nice.
Um, but personally, I know absolutely none of these people. So
Gotcha. All right.
I'm gonna go with Golden Boy just because I like I like his beard, and I
Nice.
like what's going on there.
Nice, very nice. I think I'd have to go with him as well. I haven't watched him a ton, and I'm not like the hugest fan of him. Not to say that I dislike him in any way, but I've just never really been like a huge fan of him. But I will say that whenever he's casting something or hosting anything, like he just exudes like enthusiasm, and you can just tell that he like is super passionate about what he's doing. So I love that.
I needed my Smash commentators in there. I needed my boy Coney.
Right?
I
We
needed
need
mm,
TK
tw-
Breezy.
yes,
We need all of them. Great.
free melee.
D1, shout out. Shout out to my people. We
Mm,
need them. All right, moving on. We got best esports game. We've got
LCS
Call of
or
Duty. What? Wait,
League of
what?
Legends.
What?
No. Okay, keep going, keep going.
Okay, we've got Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Counter Strike Global Offensive, Fortnite, League of Legends, and Valorant. How do you feel about those, Ace?
Fortnite is not in this conversation. I feel like I sorry to all you Fortnite people, but like your professional scene, like
There's just too
if
much RNG. Like
if you were to
I don't
weigh
get it.
if you were to weigh Fortnite and like League of Legends or like Fortnite and like Counter Strike or Valorant, like
Yeah,
it,
like I can definitely understand people like wanting to get really good at Fortnite, and they enjoy the game. They want to get really good, and like I totally respect that. Like but just as an esport, there's so much RNG. Like from game to game, and like you have to play like a bunch of games to even like get a feel for who's the best or whatever. And I guess they do count like kills and stuff, but like it just feels like so many encounters are just so situational, and like you just can't prepare for them. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that it's just always kind of, you have to deal with what you're given with. Um, but I don't know.
I I just think like imagine you're like the last person alive, right? Or not the last person alive, but there's two people left, you and the one other person, and you're in a standoff, right? And you're playing Fortnite, and then you die for no other reason than just like the simple bloom effect that just happens naturally in the game. I would be so tilted.
Yeah.
Like, at least in a game like League or Valorant or CS:GO, even COD, like, you have full control over your character. But, like, Fortnite's bloom, just like, I I don't know. It feels too hit or miss, and, like, I can't vibe with that.
Yeah. What would you go for here?
Yeah, yeah, League of Legends all day.
League of Legends?
Yeah. I think in terms of a new esport game, I think Valorant is I
Mhm.
don't know if you've played any Valorant yet,
I haven't.
but it is phenomenal. It definitely does a great job at capturing Counter-Strike in like a 2020 sense with the hero characters and all that. Um,
Mhm.
and I think give Valorant a little bit of time, like and a good amount of love and care. I think Valorant has great potential to maybe even like take Counter Strike out of the equation.
Yeah. I think it
Um,
definitely could.
and then just kind of like stand on its own because like even Counter Strike, like it's never in like the main circuit of like gaming knowledge or gaming news, but like it's always like thrived and survived.
Mhm.
Um, and especially with a company like Riot who sticks with their games through thick and thin, I think they can definitely do a lot with Valorant in the long run. So
Yeah.
I would have to give it to League of Legends just because it's been around for so long now. Um, and it's still top of the charts, number one on or not number one, but like in the top 10 of Twitch games. Like it hasn't moved anywhere since it came out. Like I think League of Legends has it. I would say Modern Warfare is like I don't even I don't even know about the competitive scene in that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I don't know if it stacks up to the level of Counter Strike or League, just because like those games have such a huge following attached to it now.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the thing with Call of Duty is there's not as many like little intricate things you can do compared to the other games because I think most of well, maybe not Fortnite, but like Counter-Strike, League and Valorant, they're all kind of designed from the ground up. Maybe not Counter-Strike but it definitely is now. They're all kind of designed to be esports games. So they have things that are like very intricate things that you can do to just increase your effectiveness and everything. And I feel like Call of Duty doesn't really have as much of that because it's created more for a casual audience, which is fine. But I think because of that, it just doesn't have those little minute things that you would see in the other games. It's just more about like positioning and just generic gunplay and stuff, which isn't bad if you enjoy that. But
Mhm.
yeah,
So your vote goes to where?
I don't know to be honest. Like the only game out of these that I actually enjoy playing is Modern Warfare, but then I basically just said it's not the best esport. So I don't really have a pick here to be honest. But I wish I could pick Smash Bros, but it's not here. So
I don't even know if I would consider Smash Bros the best esport game.
I
Cause
it's
like,
just my favorite to watch
oh, okay.
and play. Like I would just pick it because it's my favorite. But
Well, okay, so wait, would you pick Melee or Ultimate?
either one, whichever one made it on.
Okay, because
I just love Smash.
I would say Ultimate, I would rank lower than Melee
That's
in
fair.
that category, just because Melee has survived longer until now,
Mhm.
but, you know.
Melee is tried and true. There's more. There's a higher uh, skill ceiling, you could argue. So,
Mhm.
all right. Next, moving. Do we want to do another esports thing? I feel like we know less and less about these as we go. The next one is best esports event, and
Yeah,
I don't
we
really
can
know
move
any of
past
these.
this.
You'd
We
probably
could
pick
actually
Overwatch League or maybe League of Legends. I guess.
Yeah,
But
LCS all day. We could go up to the if we go out of esports, the best debut game if we wanted
okay,
to.
sure, let's do that. Yeah, because I'm not really gonna know esports coach or athlete. I don't know any of these people,
Yeah.
so we don't enjoy skipping these things, but we want to talk about stuff we can actually talk about. So uh, those we wouldn't really have anything to mention. But best debut game, you want to read those off for us?
Yes, sir. We have Carry On from Phobia Game Studios, Mortal Shell from Cold Symmetry, Raji, an Ancient Epic from Nodding Head, Roki, I think that's how it's pronounced, from Polygon Treehouse, and then Phasmophobia from Kinetic Games.
To be honest, the only one of these that I've heard of is Phasmophobia.
I think that Mortal Shell is the Souls like that came out.
Okay,
Uh, yeah, it is
it looks
a
like a
it
Souls like.
it is definitely a Souls like. I saw a little bit of gameplay of it a while ago. I think from an indie studio, it was actually very well. Uh, just because like I don't know how big the team was, but to make the game that they did, uh, and especially with like Dark Souls clones, like there's a lot of Dark Souls clones that are like you you know how like you know how a Dark Souls game is supposed to feel. I guess I should
Hmm.
say like you know how Bloodborne's supposed to feel. You know how Dark Souls is supposed to feel. And like I think of games like uh there's games like Neo or like The
Hmm.
Surge that are like not they're not made by the same people,
Have
but
you
they
played
feel
either of
like it.
those?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Um and they don't capture the same like weight and like satisfaction. They definitely are fun, but they
Hmm.
don't have the same feel as an actual Soulsborne game. Mortal Shell doesn't also have it, but for an indie studio comparison to like the previously mentioned two who are from like AAA studios, I think that Mortal Shell does a really good job as like in attempting it to recreate that Dark Souls like experience. However, I think Phasmophobia is just a fun game to watch.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I don't really know any of these, but these would definitely be games that I would be interested in checking out. Just because when you get those interesting looking games from independent developers, there's just a lot of really unique ideas in those kind of games. I think back to like Limbo, and games like that where there were just these really like interesting indie games. And just super cool. I was playing Grease recently, GRIS. I didn't finish that.
Yes.
I need to finish that. But really, really cool. I love those little kinds of games made by indie devs. So I would definitely want to check most of these out. Probably.
Did you ever play the not the sequel, but the same studio that made Limbo, Inside? You ever play
Yes,
that
I
game?
did play that one as well.
Did you beat it?
Hmm.
Dude,
It
that
was
game.
interesting. If you guys have played Inside and you've finished it, you know what we're talking about because it's just kind of whack.
Yeah,
It's kind of whack.
that ending is just whoa.
It's something.
Yeah, you turn into spoiler alert, you turn into a giant blob and just
Oh goodness, it's
go on a rampage.
such a strange game.
It was a great game,
It was,
and
yeah.
I think I still thought it was a great game even at that point, but it was at that point where I was like,
What did
"What
I
is
just
going
play?
on?"
If you
Oh,
guys
man.
like, if you guys enjoy like really strange, like but simple like platformer puzzle games, go play Inside and Limbo.
Mm,
They're made by the
yes.
same people. Very similar games, very interesting, and
D
they're not too long. You can probably pick them up on sale sometime. Definitely recommend both of those. If that's your kind
Yeah,
of thing.
they're really good. But yeah, no, honestly, my vote probably just Phasmophobia just because it's the only one I've seen/slightly played.
Gotcha. I will not cast a vote because I haven't played any of these. So, all right. Content creator of the year.
Ooh,
Um, I know three of these people, but I only really know anything about one of them.
I also know 3 of these people. I do
Okay.
watch the 3 actively, though.
Okay.
So, who are your
Well,
3?
so let's read off the full list first. We've got Alana Pierce. We've got J.Ann Lopez, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, and Valkyrae. And I know of Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, and Valkyrae, but I only really watch, or well, I don't even watch Tim, but I know the most about Tim. What
Mhm.
are yours?
Yeah, it's the exact same. I do watch them all equally. I think I've been watching a little bit more of Valkyrae now, just because of I started watching a lot of Disguised Toast, and then he led me. I'm actually surprised he didn't get nominated for Creator of the Year, but uh, I was watching her because obviously they're in like the same circle of friends. Um, but yeah, no. So overall, those are the only three that I don't know. I don't know J.Ann. I don't even know who Alana Pierce even
Yeah.
is.
Alana Pierce sounds familiar, but I don't know who she is.
Let me see.
I could see Tim the Tatman winning this just because of the Fall Guys thing that happened, because that was like huge.
What happened?
So Tim he was just trying to win. He's trying to win a game of Fall Guys when the game first came out and started like taking off. He was just trying to win. He couldn't win. It took him like 2 or 3 weeks to win a game, and
Oh
it
no.
like just blew up. Like like the Fall Guys Twitter, like all over. Like everybody was talking about Tim the Tatman not being able to win Fall Guys,
Oh
and
no.
he gained like a ton of traction from it. So I could see him winning this just because of that, because that was just huge on the internet.
I think it really comes down to between Tim and Ray. I think Ray has a lot of the newer traction just because of Among Us. Um,
Okay.
because Among Us, I mean, we all know about Among Us. Among Us is skyrocketed to popularity,
Mhm.
and so she has as well with that. She's also part of 100 Thieves, which I don't know how much that does for her popularity. I don't know what she does with the team, but I think Nick Merckx. I just watch him play COD, and honestly, I just watch him through Tin the Tap Man. I don't actually watch him like directly. Um, but yeah, I think Tim the Tap Man, I think he's still alive right now. Yeah, he's been playing World of Warcraft for like 12 hours, I think, or like 16 hours. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, exactly. Uh, but yeah, I think Tim the Tap Man and Valkyrae. I think I would have to give it Valkyrae the vote only because she's probably riding off of the Among Us hype, which I don't know how long that will last, but I think it's enough to get her that award.
Gotcha.
What
Cool,
about you?
cool. I think I'd just go Tim just because of the Fall Guys thing.
Hmm.
He's the one. Everyone else I know next to nothing about or nothing about, but so a little biased, but just based on what I know. But
Hmm.
moving on, best multiplayer. All right.
Yes.
This is where it starts getting interesting, friends. So we've got Animal Crossing New Horizons. We've got, I don't know why. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We've got Among Us. We've got Call of Duty Warzone. We've got Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. And we have Valorant. Now, but Ace and I are both kind of chuckling about Animal Crossing. Um, and
Yeah, this isn't in the conversation.
so, okay, I could see it being because of like the social experience that you get with Animal Crossing, you know, where you're like sharing stuff with your friends and everything, and not the actual multiplayer experience. So I could see it that way. I don't know if that makes it qualify for this category enough, but
No.
the actual multiplayer in Animal Crossing is not anything to write home about. Um, because you can't really do anything. You go to somebody's island and you walk around and you do emotes and you pose and take pictures, and that's fun, but like it's not some like amazing multiplayer experience, and it's actually kind of tedious too, just getting to people's islands, and like whenever somebody joins you all have to sit there and watch the cutscene of them joining. Like it's actually really tedious to play with like a bunch of people. So
In a
it's interesting.
Animal Crossing. I give Animal Crossing, if Animal Crossing wins anything, it's not even a category, but Animal Crossing wins the quarantine award.
That's
Like,
right.
I think Animal
We need a
Crossing
quarantine award.
got us all through quarantine, and we would not be here without Animal Crossing.
Amen. Thank you,
Oh,
Animal
man.
Crossing. But of
But
course, we have Among Us, very popular. Fall Guys, very popular. Warzone, I love me some Warzone. I know you do. And Valorant. I don't know. I don't know what I would give it to here.
well, if you read the descriptor to it, for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of genre or platform. So I think in terms of like design, like again, I think we can throw Animal Crossing out of there because it's not a lot. It's not a
Yeah,
whole lot.
it's just
Um,
not on the same level as any of the other games
yeah.
for the
Um,
multiplayer experience.
I I think so. I've already casted my votes like prior to this.
Mhm.
I gave my vote to Warzone, uh, simply because I thought that Fall Guys was eventually got repetitive. Um, just because like at least until season 2 came out, but until season 2 came out, they weren't adding a bunch of new like they weren't adding new maps.
Mhm.
They did have a bunch of new skins, but I think besides that, that was kind of it. Um, Valorant was up there. Because Valorant is in the same vein as CS:GO, where it's just like competitive, designed to be competitive, and it has a very replayable kind of format. But I think Warzone was definitely the revolutionary multiplayer game to come out from this year. Uh, I think Among Us is good, but Among Us isn't. Again, it doesn't have a lot of
It's
integrate. Like,
niche.
yeah, it's very niche. It's not like, and you need 10 people
Mhm.
all at the same time. Uh, but I think that Warzone did a very good job of like bringing back not only COD but bringing back the battle royale genre. I mean, you said
Mhm.
it yourself, like in a stream a long time ago, like you didn't like battle royales, and then you played Warzone.
Yeah.
Like, if that goes to show like how well that did, I think that like for me that was the same way. Like I was turned off from battle royales entirely, and then Warzone came in and just kind of like saved that love.
Yeah, it did a lot, I feel like, to kind of mix up the battle royale genre with the gulag and stuff. And it kind of learned from the mistakes of Blackout, and kind of simplified things. Like they didn't do like attachment loot or anything. Like they really just kind of simplified it and really dialed in like the time to kill and stuff. It all feels really, really good. Um, it's just very, very well done.
Yeah, I think, yeah, the only close second to this would have to be Valorant, I think. And like I said, I think Valorant I think if anybody's sleeping on Valorant, don't I would say don't sleep on Valorant because I think it has a lot of potential. Give it like a year and see where we are with Valorant. We'll come back to the Valorant discussion at next year's Game Awards. If it's still a thing. I don't know. Valorant could
It's
get
funny.
thrown out the window. But yeah, my vote goes to Call of Duty Warzone for that.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree.
Mm.
All right. Best sports racing game. I don't play
Oh boy.
anything in either of these genres. Do you?
Yeah, the only one that matters. The only
Okay.
one that
Is
matters.
it on this list? Oh.
Yeah.
I know what it is. I know what it is. Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's gonna get it.
for all of you guys, the sports games we got available to us are Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21, and NBA 2K21, which and then Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't 2K21 like the first game to be $70?
I don't know.
Because that's a next gen game, I believe.
Maybe.
Let me see. Let's do a quick search of that.
While you're looking that up, I think just because I have very little to say about this in general, I think Tony Hawk Pro Skater is probably going to take this just because it appeals to people outside of the other mainstays for the genre. So like the other sports games and the other racing games, Pro Skater feels a little bit out of place in this category. But I think because of that, it's gonna win.
Yeah, so it is definitely the next gen edition of 2K21 is $70, which is
Gotcha.
insane. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater is just in a league of its own. I feel like I love it. I remember I played that game. I don't think I played it when it came out, but I remember playing Pro Skater 2 close to when it was initially released, and I loved every second of it. You
Very
ever play the
nice.
Tony Hawk games growing up?
I did not. Did not.
Ah, man,
Did
I
not.
got introduced to so many bands through that game. So many
Right back
that's
when
how,
we could have music in our video games.
bro, dude. I got introduced to ska music through that game. Mm, it was so
You know
good.
what game soundtrack I used to love?
Hmm.
Uh, Need for Speed Most Wanted, the original.
You played that,
I loved that game.
huh?
My favorite Need for Speed ever. I would go back and play it today. I loved that. There has not been a Need for Speed that has come close to
Hmm.
Most Wanted.
I think that, and I've said this on a stream before, but like, if you gave me a game that was a 5, but a soundtrack that's a 10, I think I can look past a lot of really bad things in the game. Because like Tony Hawk Pro Skater is a great game, but it has a phenomenal soundtrack, and you could just spend the whole day listening to that soundtrack and be completely satisfied, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Uh, if anybody grew up on Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the just listening to all of the amazing bands, like, and it wasn't even just like one genre. It was like ska, it was like indie rock. It had like its hip hop and rap section. It was very weird, but it was great. It was great. But yeah,
Nice.
definitely Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 for me.
Sounds good. All right. Next up, we've got Best Sim and Strategy. I'm
Oh
going to
boy.
read them in reverse order this time. We've got XCOM Chimera Squad, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Gears Tactics, Desperados 3, and Crusader Kings 3. My vote goes to Flight Simulator. Let's go.
So I've never played Flight Simulator, but I was looking at Steam today, and I noticed that one of the top selling games wasn't Flight Simulator, but it was like American Truck Driver Simulator, like the European expansion. Um, and apparently there's just this huge like love for these simulator games. Like I I don't see the appeal to it. I really don't.
You don't want to fly a plane?
I don't. I
I
mean,
do.
like I don't understand why stuff like that and like actually like truck simulator like if I look Steam top selling, yeah, it's oh no, it's not there anymore, but it was there. Yeah, just these games that feel like they shouldn't be as popular as they are, like Farm Simulator. Why do games like these need to be popular?
I,
Or like,
I love Farm Simulator.
okay, so then what's the appeal? Like, what
Okay.
makes you like it?
All right. They're fun. They're like laid back, especially like the multiplayer ones, like Farm Simulator with your friends. Like it's just fun. Like and I would never play them for like long periods of time. But like if they were the only kinds of video games, like there wasn't any other kind of video game and it was just simulator games like flight sim and farm sim and those kind of things, like I would play them because I enjoy them. I just enjoy other games more.
I would play Animal Crossing before I play a simulator game. Like, and
but what
not
if
not
but what if
not
Animal
dissing.
Crossing didn't exist? Would you play the sim games if they were the only thing?
If they had multiplayer, maybe
Yeah.
I wouldn't play because I'm assuming that like Euro Truck Driver Simulator is like single player and like Flight Simulator is simulator. Or simulator. I'm assuming Flight Simulator is single player, right?
I think it has a multiplayer aspect. I know you can
like how though?
see,
How?
I don't know. Big Sigma in the chat. He says he thinks they're relaxing. They are. They're relaxing. You know, they're not stressful like a shooter or something. They're just relaxing. Like you can just kind of play them. They're like a mobile game, but not littered with microtransactions.
That doesn't that doesn't help though. Like okay, so when I gave my vote, I actually did give it to Flight Simulator. Ironically enough, but it was just like it was only just because like I knew that was going to be the popular vote for some reason. But I just wish that I knew why people actually enjoyed this game. And maybe I just need to try it. Who knows? Maybe I'll find like a
Maybe.
love for it that I
Yeah.
never knew that I had.
Maybe you would. It's great. All right, moving on. We need to start getting through these a little quicker. But all right, best family game. We've got Animal Crossing, Crash Bandicoot 4, Fall Guys, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, and Paper Mario: The Origami King.
That's good.
Best
These are all really good
family
games.
game. I think for this one, I think I would have to go Minecraft Dungeons.
Really?
Because I think it's the only game that has local multiplayer. I
Okay.
could be wrong, but I would assume it would. Do you know?
I think I remember seeing Aki playing it with his daughter,
Okay.
so I would assume so.
Yeah. So
Um,
Mario Kart Live is of course very local multiplayer, but also
Yeah.
has like a lot of setup, and I don't know like how many people are going to be into that. So I feel like Minecraft Dungeons is just more accessible.
Right.
And I feel like for a best family game, you need to have local co-op. Like,
Hmm.
I'm surprised it's the only one in this list that has it.
I'm tempted to give it. So I gave my vote to actually two Fall Guys when I made this list. Um, Only because in terms of like family play, it like if you have because I think you can I may be wrong, but I think you may be able to have local if you're like on a console. Um, but I feel like Fall Guys is just like the perfect like package. Like it's for like just straightforward to the point, like
It's
party
simple.
style, kind of
Anyone
like
can
in
play
the
it.
yeah, anybody can play it. You could be like all you do is you're a jelly bean and you go forward and like you
You go
just jump
forward.
over places. Sometimes you grab someone's tail. Like that's the extent of the difficulty in Fall
Yep.
Guys. I was gonna give it to Animal Crossing. Uh but and maybe I could swap it and give it to Animal Crossing. My only thing with Animal Crossing is I know that I've visited some islands that were not safe for work.
Ooh.
Um and so but then that was also like online. Like that was
Mhm.
going online
So does
onto
that
somebody's
count?
island.
Yeah.
So like it was also for like I was just selling turnips, right? Like everybody's trying to make money.
Right.
But like in terms of like family play, obviously not some rando's not just going to visit your island and you're not just going to visit some other rando's island. So I don't
Mhm.
know. I feel like I could give it to Animal Crossing. But I feel like there's still just not enough in Animal Crossing for a family game. If you have a young kid though, I feel like they would love that. But in
Mhm.
terms of like a whole family unit, I think Fall Guys is accessible to all ages.
Fair, fair. I'm gonna stick to Minecraft Dungeons just because I think local multiplayer is super important for this category, and I don't know why more of the games in this category don't have it. But
Mm.
all right, next up we have best fighting game. There's no Smash Bros on here, so I'm ready to move on. What about you?
Yeah. Honestly, we can
All
move on
right.
to Smash.
We'll at least read them off. We've got Grand Blue Fantasy. What the heck that is, but it's a thing. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows. I didn't know that was a thing, but all right. And Under Night in Birth EXE late CLR. That's a name and a half. All right. And it looks like the most anime thing ever. We're moving on, friends. We're moving on.
Man.
Best role playing. All right. What do we got, Ace?
We got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 The Royal, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon.
I haven't played any of these.
Really?
Really?
I
think I know what you would go for, though.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What would you say?
Final Fantasy?
It's actually not Final Fantasy.
Okay. All right.
You know, my vote went to Persona 5.
Okay.
Because that game, if you ever you have a PS4, right?
No.
Oh, dang.
I left it with my brother when I moved.
So, yeah, Persona 5 is amazing. It is the quintessential JRPG with turn-based style gameplay, but also like this like half RPG, half life simulator type game that easily goes on for like 120 hours. Like your first playthrough of that game is long, and it's also just visually stunning. So yeah, that was my vote for that game.
Very nice. I don't really have much more to say because I haven't played any of these. But moving on, best action adventure. All right, this is an interesting category. We've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Last of Us Part 2. There are some heavy hitters on this.
Yeah.
One. Wow. So,
what would you say?
I'm going to knock out Valhalla for me. That isn't even in the conversation for me personally. I have not played it. I will be honest, so take that as you will. But I didn't really care for the direction that Assassin's Creed went in with the past few games, starting with Origins, I believe it was. I have not really cared for the new games. And I've heard that Valhalla is very, very like bloated, and there's just like way too much to do. Like there's just too much, and there's not really any part of the game that's like super stellar. So I'm just gonna knock that one off the list for me personally. I have not played Ghost of Tsushima or Miles Morales or Last of Us Part 2. I have played, the only ones I've played on this are Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Jedi Fallen Order. So I'd probably give it to one of those two. What have you played on this list?
I played all of these except for Valhalla.
Okay.
So personally, I gave my vote to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Nice.
Only because I immediately took Ori out of this and then Last of Us out of this. But I thought that Star Wars, like I got that game probably day like 2 or 3 of it coming out, and that game was
really
phenomenal
good.
from
Really
start to finish. Like it felt
Mhm.
like such a complete game to me, and I hadn't played. First of all, I hadn't played a Star Wars game like that in forever.
Mhm.
But I also hadn't just played an action adventure game like that in such a long
Yeah.
time. And I was very, very appreciative of that. I thought that a close second was Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
But Ghost of Tsushima suffered from like the open world syndrome,
Mhm.
where it's like a lot to do, or it's a very big world, but not a lot to do in it. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was linear, but that wasn't a bad thing. It was like we're not gonna bloat this game with a bunch of stuff that it doesn't need. Like it was very
Yeah.
much like here's the world, go explore, like go like get from point A to point B.
Mhm.
So yeah, my vote definitely goes to Fallen Order. I love that game. I need a
Yeah.
second one.
I could definitely agree with that. I think they're planning on it being like a trilogy, I believe. So that would be
Yes.
really cool. I loved Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I don't know if it can measure up to some of the others in this category though. And I haven't played anything else, so I would probably go Fallen Order as well. Just a really, really, really well done game. Very impressed to see it from EA as well.
If we wanted to, since we are running a little bit out of time, we could just skip all the way to the end and then talk about the topic that's close to our hearts.
Yes. We could. Yeah, we'll skip to the last one. Maybe Pastor Balls and I will talk a little more about the rest of the ones we didn't get to next week. But let's talk about Game of the Year
Mm.
real quick. So up for Game of the Year is Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, and Last of Us Part 2. Gotta love the Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
If this was the quarantine award, Animal Crossing.
Yes.
Hands down. Animal Crossing. But this is not the quarantine award.
I kind of wanted to win, not gonna lie.
That would be hilarious. I would be so down for that. I'm so down for that. Do you have an actual pick here, though?
So I do have an actual pick. I will say I have a big vendetta against The Last of Us Part 2, and I will be very upset if that wins. Just because I don't think it's Game of the Year material. But it was definitely between Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ghost of Tsushima. For those of you who don't know, Final Fantasy VII Remake was almost 10 years in the making. It took forever to come out. But when it did, it came out like I think a couple of months ago. And when it did, dude, I felt like I got thrusted back to like 99. Like it felt like how I remembered the game.
Yeah.
But which was weird because obviously it's 2020, but it's like it felt like I was just like, this is exactly how I pictured in my head, this moment right here or this moment right here. It was a little short, in my opinion. I wish it was longer, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's a bad thing. And yeah, against Ghost of Tsushima was a very, very close second. I loved that game, especially coming off the heels of The Last of Us Part 2. I definitely needed Ghost of Tsushima. But again, I think for all the beautifulness of Ghost of Tsushima, I think that it fell a little bit short in things to do outside of just like the typical, almost like the Ubisoft format of like go to this encampment, clear out this place, go to this area, then you go to this one area and you unlock the rest of the map. And then you could see all the things to do in this style of the map. I think it very much fell into that kind of repetitive cycle. Storytelling, it's phenomenal, and gameplay, it's phenomenal. But other than that, I think it falls just a little bit short underneath 7 Remake.
Gotcha.
For me personally.
Yeah. Funny thing is, the only one from this list that I've actually played is Animal Crossing. So I have heard really, really good things about Hades. If you like the roguelike genre, I've heard really good things about that game. I would be interested in playing Ghost of Tsushima and even 7 Remake. But as of right now, Animal Crossing is the only thing that I've played. So I vote Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I hope it wins.
That would be great. That would be great. All right. Well, that is going to do it for the Game Awards nominations. We want to talk about one more thing. Those took a little longer than we were expecting. I didn't expect there to be so many categories. I think they keep adding more every year. But so, guys, we wanted to talk about Nintendo shuts down Super Smash Bros. Tournament for using mods to play online. Maybe you guys have heard of this. Maybe you haven't. We're going to give you the rundown. There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot. And I wish we had more time. We can go a little bit over if we want to. But just to give you guys the rundown, basically, as some of you may know, Super Smash Bros. Melee has been the esports game to just survive the roughest life ever. No support from Nintendo to its esports scene. Very just hard to run tournaments logistically and things like that. But it has endured, and COVID has really done a toll on it, or at least it would have, if not for an incredible mod that I believe came out like right before COVID. if I'm not mistaken, where basically uh, people rewrote the net code for playing Super Smash Bros. Melee online. So this was a thing for many years, um, because the GameCube emulator Dolphin does support online play natively, but the net code was not anywhere near what you would need to have a really good fighting game experience. If you played fighting games online, you know what I'm talking about. They're just it's night and day offline and online. Um, and so this mod came out for uh, Melee emulation that rewrote the netcode and just basically made it really, really good for a fighting game. And it really improved the experience of online Melee. Um, and so this is how the game has been surviving as an esport in COVID when people aren't able to hold in person tournaments, because Melee never supported online play. Um, it was on the GameCube. But unfortunately, there was a tournament coming up called the Big House, and they were doing an online tournament, online only, because of COVID, and they were going to have Super Smash Bros. Melee and Smash Bros. Ultimate. So two different tournaments. This is very common for Smash Bros. Tournaments. They'll have multiple games, usually the newest one, and then Melee. But Nintendo issued a DMCA, not a DMCA, a cease and desist. I keep saying DMCA whenever I talk about this, but it's not DMCA. It's a cease and desist, for them to not hold the tournament because they're using the mod and playing it online. Now, like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. But Ace, why don't you go ahead and start? Give us your thoughts. What do you think about this?
Uh, yeah. So what's important to remember in this is that Melee Melee is a very grassroots community. It has survived well beyond Nintendo's care for the game, where the community has loved it and like wish that Nintendo would support it, and they just haven't. Nintendo is very much beyond Melee at this point. They love people's love for the game, but they don't care for the game anymore. Um, and the important thing when talking about like the tournaments and stuff like that is, like you said, online play is night and day. Uh, especially for like a game like Ultimate, which has like already like 7 frames of like frame delay. Which, for those of you who don't know, basically when you press a button, Smash Ultimate, for some reason or another, has 7 frames of delay between your button press and the actual like action registering. Uh, and so for a game like Melee, where you know you're trying your best with a very old style game, but you're also trying to play it online through an emulator. You're relying off of for a long time. You're relying off of somebody else's connection, which would lead to horrendous style of games. I actually remember one time we tried to do
Yeah.
uh, a dolphin game and it just didn't work. Um, and so like with Slippy, which uses rollback netcode, uh, it almost felt with what all the professionals were saying, it felt so much like offline play. I
Yeah.
was listening to
Really
people,
close.
professionals in the scene, like Hungrybox, Mewtwo King, Sam Sora. They were all saying that this was basically offline Melee. Um, and so like obviously, but just online. And so it very much opened and revived the community in like an offline or in an online scene during during this pandemic.
Mhm.
And then for a while they were having Slippy tournaments and going about their business just using Slippy until all this came crashing down. And I mean, I think I was watching like Coney stream, and he was saying like, yes, at the end of the day, they are technically using like pirated copies of Melee.
Mhm. Most people
Um,
probably are.
yeah, and they're using a illegal, like not an illegal mod, but just a mod to the game that wasn't intended by the developers. But they brought up this counterpoint of like, what does this do for you? Like, like what does stopping this tournament that literally just gives your game publicity do for you?
Mhm.
Like, and especially because I know Boss talks about this all the time when he talks about Nintendo. Um, it's like Nintendo's in a financial place where they are not worried at all. They are
Yeah.
stable as they will ever be. Um, but you know, so why? Like
Mm.
why take away your premier game basically? Like even if it is Melee and not Ultimate, Melee leads people to Ultimate. And so like it felt like a just like the hardest slap on the back to the Melee community because it was just like, well, this game that we love that was barely surviving now is basically like Hungrybox said it perfectly. He's like either COVID dies or Melee dies. Like there's no in between. Like
Wow.
because there's no way to have a tournament
Mhm.
now with stuff like this. And so
So there is there's a little bit more to it than that. I think could definitely be the reality for sure, depending on how things go. But at least from the way I understand it, with this tournament specifically, and why Nintendo had a problem with this one, is because I believe this was the first tournament that was doing Melee and Ultimate in one tournament. So I think their issue was that they didn't want the Melee mod being used next to Ultimate, which is their current game that they are trying to push and sell, of course. Because when they issued the cease and desist for Big House, Beyond the Summit was streaming Summit 11, a Melee online tournament that was using the mod. But the only difference is that they weren't also hosting an Ultimate tournament next to it. So
hmm,
Summit 11 was fine. They did not issue a cease and desist for that. They let them be. But they did have an issue with Big House, and I think it was because Ultimate is being held with it.
hmm, that's interesting because I did they ever release like an actual statement as to why they as to why that event was taken down, like an official like, hey, here's why we did this.
I remember seeing something, a screenshot. I don't know if it was real or not. Obviously, anybody can post anything online. But I remember seeing a screenshot of an alleged Nintendo response to people kind of coming up and being like, "Why you do this?" Um, and they had said they didn't really give a reason, but they had said that they reached out to um, Big House and asked them to either not hold the Melee tournament or not use the mod, one of the two, and that Big House basically told them no, and then Nintendo issued the cease and desist. So it sounded like they could have still done the Ultimate tournament if they wanted to, but I have no idea if that response that I saw was official. I haven't looked into it. I haven't seen it on a Nintendo source. I just saw it from somebody that had screenshotted something. So
Right. Because because my thought would have been something along the lines of like because in the article that we were basing it that we have right here, it it says that the one of the Nintendo spokespeople said that unfortunately the upcoming Big House tournament announced plans to host an online tournament for Melee that requires the use of illegally acquired copies of the game in conjunction with mod for their online event, and therefore they contacted the tournament organizers to ask them to stop. Now, if the same exact thing happened in a with BTS, then I'm wondering if it's less about ults or if it's less about Slippy or Melee being related to Slippy, I should say, and more about Ultimate being related to Slippy.
yeah.
Um, which that's like I don't know how that actually works, like
Hmm.
how you actually put that together, but I mean, like it I would be interested to hear why they didn't go against BTS because I'm assuming like my thought would be now, okay, BTS people probably have heard this, they probably seen this, and probably some of them are a part of both. Um, and so I'm wondering what those people are thinking. Okay, how come we didn't get taken down?
Maybe
Um,
the difference is because Summit is a tournament where it's basically only the best of the best, right? It's
Mhm.
not like a huge bracket style tournament with hundreds of players. It's only like the top players, best of the best. So, I mean, Nintendo could probably assume, yeah, all of those people have actual copies of Melee. There's nothing wrong going on here. They could feel confident that all of those top players have actual copies of Melee because that's the only way you could play the game for forever, you know? So maybe that was a part of the reason. The last thing that I did want to discuss here before we wrap up is the fact that it is very much a gray area
Mhm.
legally with this. We kind of talked about it here and there. You mentioned the pirated copies of the game being used. Um, so the thing about emulation is it's completely legal as long as you use ROMs that you've ripped from your copy of the game, and you're not distributing it or selling it, um, because you're just using what you bought, and you're using it just in a different way. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Where it gets tricky is when you distribute it or when you download a ROM that's not yours and you don't own the game. Um, but then again, like the interesting thing with Melee is like it's not even a current game. So like you can't buy Melee from Nintendo. Like, they're not losing out on money because people are pirating the game. That's the only way to get the game in a lot of cases. There's only a limited number of copies of Melee. And so for some people, like that's the only way they can even play the game. They couldn't give Nintendo money to play Melee if they wanted to. So that's another interesting aspect of this. So I know some of the tournament organizers or somebody I saw somebody saying like maybe what we need to do is like everybody who signs up for the tournament needs to provide like screenshots of like their copy of Melee and like the fact that they've ripped their own copy and that's what they're using. And maybe that would be enough for Nintendo to be okay with it. But it's hard to say. It is a very gray area in some cases.
Yeah, and ultimately too, it's like there's so much there's so much that could go on in terms of like if they were to do that, like how do you not know if they're just faking a picture and just had like one of their
Hmm.
friends like send a photo
Yeah.
to them like and so yeah, it really becomes like a whole gray area. And that's the main reason why piracy is never something that really goes to court and for video games because ultimately there's no way to really confirm all right, this person pirated this copy of the game. Like it's very difficult to actually trace that down. Um Without them being like, "Yeah, I actually just had my own copy at home." Um, and so yeah, it's it it's a struggle, and especially yeah for the melee scene, our heart goes out to you,
Mhm.
because like it's for
It's
them
rough.
especially, yeah, it's mega rough, and they are very they're struggling enough as it is, and so we want we're here for them. We wanna give them all the support we can, just because
Hashtag free melee.
hashtag free melee, man, because melee needs to be freed, and like it has survived for so long. If COVID was the death of melee,
It'd be really sad.
that'd be really sad, especially for a
Yeah.
lot of people who like basically live off of melee.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, it's a whole thing. And we wish the best for the Smash community in that regards.
Yeah. I think another thing that I want to mention here before we wrap up is um, we want to be like civil about this. Of course, when the announcement first came out that Big House had gotten a cease and desist, I saw a ton of people um, just reacting super harshly towards Nintendo. And that it comes with like there's validity to that reaction, I think, to an extent. Like people have the right to be upset about this, but like the way a lot of people have been going about this has been like really not great, using very very hateful words towards Nintendo. um we want to get Nintendo's attention, we want to change this, but we want to do it nicely. We don't need to like call Nintendo names and like just completely trash their name. Hashtag free melee is it's a I think that's a pretty civil movement. It's not anything hateful. People love melee, and if this is the only way that they can play melee right now, I think that's worth fighting for sure. All right. Well, guys, we're 10 minutes over time. We had just so much to talk about, so many great things. Ace, thank you so much for joining me today. You want to give yourself one last little shout out here? Did you mute your mic?
I totally did. uh, yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you, GodSquadChurch. I love you all. And I love being here every time. Yeah, just one shout out today. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/acewing. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/acewing_. We're gonna be going live today with some Smash, actually.
Hey,
Probably. Depends
hashtag
on
free
when this
melee.
graphics card gets here. Yeah, hashtag free melee. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
Very nice. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for joining me and making the podcast happen. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead of you. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the States. But with all of that being said, that's going to do it for us. So thank you guys so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Yoke Talk podcast. See you later, everybody.
Bye bye.